Hey everyone, this is Josh Hayward and welcome to the week 4 recap of 31 Days of Pumpkin. It's hard to believe we've been at this for 4 weeks now. Week 4 was wide open. As you can see, we had more than just 7 brews. I lost count. 3, 6, 9. We had 11 brews. Yeah, 11 brews on week 4 of 31 Days of Pumpkin. As I had said in the videos, I'd received some additional pumpkin beers and started having to double up because I had more beers than days. So all in all, still a good problem to have. We kicked it off featuring Lakefront Brewing out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Had the pumpkin lager, which was a phenomenal pumpkin beer. I think the only pumpkin lager we had in all of 31 Days of Pumpkin. Just a very, very good beer. Really highlighted the pumpkin. Great flavors. Easy drinking. Great Thanksgiving beer, Halloween party beer, tailgate beer, just a great beer. Loved it. Next we had the Pumpkin Imperial Ale. This was barrel aged in brandy barrels, again from Lakefront Brewery. This is a pumpkin ale. The last was a lager. This one was an ale. Excellent barrel aged pumpkin beer. One of the best, again, in the series. We've had a ton of barrel aged pumpkin beers. This was one of the best. The brandy flavors were used as a complement for the pumpkin, not overshadowing, just a pretty solid beer. Next, we had the Fear Imperial Pumpkin Ale from Flying Dog Brewing Company. This 9.0% ABV, very interesting beer. I was expecting kind of an amber-colored pumpkin ale, but it ended up being more like a porter, actually. Combined some very unique flavors, the flavors that you love from a porter or stout, and combined it with some of the great flavors of a pumpkin beer. Really enjoyed it. Neat name too, the Fear. Next we had Sam Adams 20 Pounds of Pumpkin. Was not a fan of this beer. As much as near and dear as Sam Adams is to my heart as far as starting me on my craft beer journey, I did not like this beer. Sam Adams has done in past years multiple pumpkin ales. I believe this is the only one I've seen this year, and it just didn't live up to their ones in the past. I got a sharp acidic taste in it, kind of reminded me of tomato juice. Was not a fan of this one. Next we had the Cottonwood Pumpkin, and this is from Foothills Brewing out of North Carolina. Not a bad brew here. I would kind of classify it more as an autumn spiced ale. Didn't taste a ton of pumpkin in it, but not a bad brew. Next we had NoDa Brewing Company's Gordgeous. That's Gordgeous. If you'll remember, I had my gorgeous wife along with me to do the review on this beer. Great beer here, as kind of a staple in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Just a really solid pumpkin beer. Good flavors of cinnamon, nutmeg, ginger in there. Kind of a great harvest type ale. Pretty solid. Kind of a staple, at least in our area, year in, year out. But great beer. Next we had the pumpkin ale. This is lost the name. Sorry, bear with me. Stevens Point Brewing Company. And as I start going through this, it's tough to remember them all. This was not a bad beer either. If I remember correctly, yes, I remember correctly. I did this one first in the review and did this one second. I'll go ahead and talk about this one since I've hit it already. If I remember correctly, this reminded me like gingerbread cookies. Heavy on the gingerbread, heavy on the cinnamon. It was kind of a flatter beer though. I feel like it wasn't carbonated all the way through, but as far as the flavor goes, it was solid. Enjoyed that one. Kind of reminded me of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day, you know, you've got baked goodies and things like that, but great beer. This beer here, Harvest Time, from Big Boss, was not a fan of this one at all. As a matter of fact, you've got the skeleton on there making that face. That was the face I made when I tried the beer. Just was not a fan of that one. Just was wrong in a whole bunch of different areas for me. Next we had Good Gourd from Cigar City Brewing Company out of Tampa, Florida. My lovely wife joined me with this one as well. This was a great beer as well. Very mellow, very easy drinking. They did a great job combining some vanilla and the pumpkin and just some great spices, complementing spices. Made a really easy drink and brew. I remember my wife saying this would be a perfect coffee creamer, like if you could take those flavors and put it in a cup of coffee. But great beer from Cigar City. Next we had Avery Brewing Company's Rumpkin. This is from their annual barrel age series. Again, very similar to Pumpkin, K-Y-N, we looked at last week. Kind of a beer kind of in a league of its own. just with the rich barrel aging, near 16% ABV. Yeah, 16.9% ABV. A beer to enjoy with friends or just to sip on. Really over the top in the flavors. The rum, if you're not a fan of rum, you would not like that beer. The rum does have a tendency of taking over some of the pumpkin flavors, but for what they do and the variety of flavors that are accomplished, you have to commend them. And then we closed out week 4 with the Headless Heron. This is a barrel-aged pumpkin spice ale. Again, one of the better barrel-aged beers that we had in 31 Days of Pumpkin. They did a good job kind of using the bourbon as a complement to the beer. Kind of, if I remember correctly, it was a darker type beer too. But yeah, great with combining the bourbon flavors and notes. Also, it was, I remember as I'm talking about it, it's kind of had a woody type taste from those oak barrels. But it went really well with the pumpkin. So great beer. So week 4 in the books. I know I went through that really fast, and I'm really amazed that I was able to piece together some of these parts. I had to refresh my memory on some of them, but lots of fun week 4, lots of beers in this one. You do what you got to do with adding more beers, but it's hard to remember them all. But yeah, we had some great ones this week, and week 4's done. We've got 2 more days left, so only 2 more days, and then hopefully I'll do a big recap of everything and then talk about some of my favorites. So thank you so much for following along. Week 4 in the books. You guys have a great evening. Take care.